It's so nice to be here with you today. So nice to be here with you to pray. The Lord be with you and with your spirit. Won't you please, won't you pray for your neighbor? Welcome to this week's episode of Father Ralph's Neighborhood. I'm Father Ralph, and thank you for finding your way into my neighborhood. Very happy to be with you today. Uh, a little bit behind for a variety of different reasons, not the least of which is it just takes forever to vote as many times as I voted today. So we're getting caught up now. Just kidding. You know, Mom was a very proud judge of elections, and it always breaks my heart to hear people challenging the validity of voting, because mom really gave a lot of her life to making sure that every vote counted, and so my heart goes out to every single poll worker and vote counter who's going to be up late because, yeah, you saw what I saw, that judicial retention ballot. Mom used to hate those. Oh, of course, when she was a judge of election, that was before computers made that whole job so much easier. They had to do all of that by hand. So, yeah, she hated whenever they had the judicial ballots to count. But uh, who knows? Who knows? I was thinking for some reason this morning of Ted Mack and his original Amateur Hour, which just goes to show you how old I am. And I was just thinking that when he would spin the Wheel of Fortune at the beginning of each episode, round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. So we'll see what happens in the morning. I'm also waiting on them to draw the numbers, the winning numbers for the $1.9 billion. And I promise, if I win, not only will Father Ralph continue, but I'm going to have to build a whole studio to produce it in. So, see what happens. Here we are, 32nd week in ordinary time. And the gospel that we're reading from this week is the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 20, verses 27 to 38. I've been taking my glasses off because the lenses seem to reflect everything that has a display, So now I'm only putting them on when I need to see to read. So forgive me for putting them on, taking them off, but it's better that way. Then you don't see all the reflections in there, right? So some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, came forward and put this question to Jesus, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us, if someone's brother dies, leaving a wife but no child, his brother must take the wife and raise up descendants for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman, but died childless. Then the second and the third married her, and likewise all the 7 died childless. Finally, the woman also died. Now, at the resurrection, whose wife will that woman be? For all 7 had been married to her." Jesus said to them, "The children of this age marry and remarry But those who are deemed worthy to attain to the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. They can no longer die, for they are like angels, and they are the children of God because they are the ones who will rise. That the dead will rise, even Moses made known in the passage about the bush, when he called out, Lord, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he is not God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive. The gospel of our Lord. Oh, those poor Sadducees, right? But, hey, they believed what they believed, and they needed to press their case. And the problem with their case was they were more worried about death than they were about life. And when Jesus answers them, that's what he's focusing on, is the power of life, the power of love, but also this kind of human desire to know what heaven is going to be like. And we tend to want to put onto heaven our human understanding of life. And people like to think that the life hereafter is just going to be a continuation of this life. I love doing funerals, not that I love death, but I love to be able to be there with and for families in that moment of their pain and their loss and their grief. And one of the things I really truly treasure is when a member of the family has the strength, the courage to talk about their loved one, to give a eulogy or reflection, some sort of testimonial to their life. And what I especially love is when they talk about how, well, I just had one just the other day, very beautiful eulogy. And evidently the deceased loved to play pinochle. So they said, I can only imagine the great pinochle game that's going on in heaven now. And I thought to myself as I sat there on the altar, I hope there's a spare angel or two who can teach me how to play pinochle, because I don't know how to play pinochle, But we tend to do that. Oh, there's heaven's gonna be there's gonna be this gorgeous golf course, and we're gonna be able to. So it's important for us to kind of take a step back. And what do we believe? What is our vision of heaven? And when I was very young and full of questions, I was doing my CCD classes, because I'm a public, right? Went to Charles Carroll Elementary, and every Wednesday we'd walk from school to St. Thomas More, and the good sisters, the Sinsinawa sisters, Dominican sisters of Sinsinawa. They would teach us our religion, our CCD, Confraternity of Christian Doctrine. And now, in retrospect, I really feel bad for those poor sisters, because boy, oh, what they had to put up with. But anyway, little Ralphie had his hand up. Sister, what is heaven going to be like? And without a moment's hesitation, because this must be a belief that she held and she treasured, she said, everything that you need to be happy for all of eternity will be there. And as you can tell, I've had that image of heaven in my own mind, in my own heart ever since. What will be in heaven? Now, I know we all have dreams. Some dreams are goofy dreams, like the night I spent solving crimes with Kojak, even though I never watched a single episode of Kojak. I spent a whole night with Kojak in a dream, and it was a goofy dream. I woke up and you wake up and you realize that was a goofy dream. But then there are other dreams. It's like, was that a dream? Did that really happen? Or at least while you're having the dream, it just seems so real. So I'm going to tell you the night I dreamed about heaven. First, I didn't realize that's what I was dreaming about. I woke up in the dream. I woke up and I was in the bedroom of a wonderful cabin. And, I used to go on vacation to the North Woods of Wisconsin, and there was this little fishing resort, as they called it, and we had our little cabins. And I'd often thought, boy, if I just had just enough money to buy one of those cabins and retire to it, oh, what a great place. What a wonderful life that would be. So there I was. I woke up and I was in a fishing cabin. And I spun my legs around and was getting ready to sit down on the floor, and I almost stepped on my dog. Well, except it wasn't my dog. It was a dog. It's a very nice dog, but it wasn't my dog. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I petted the dog, good morning. And as I kind of got the sleep out of my eyes, I looked around, and there was this beautiful spinet organ. Oh, with all the bells and whistles on it. But it wasn't a big console organ. It was a little spinet organ, but it was an organ, And I love music. I love to play the organ, and there it was. So I have my dog, I have my organ, and all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. And so I trudge over to the door, and I open the door, and there's this tall, handsome, clearly Italian gentleman standing at the door. And I'm like, can I help you? He said, I'm your Uncle Ralph. Now, my Uncle Ralph died when he was 5 years old. So he did not have the opportunity to grow up, and I never saw him, certainly not as a young gentleman like that. And I'm like, my Uncle Ralph, he died when he was 5 years old. By the way, he was struck running across the street to buy penny candy. And it was a student driver, hit the gas instead of the brake, plowed him right over. Devastated Mama and Grandpa and Mommy. They were just, So that's who they named me after, my Uncle Ralph. And there was this guy claiming, at least, to be Uncle Ralph at the door. And I told him, I said, how? And he said, well, this is heaven for you, and this is heaven for me. And then we started to walk down the little path that led up to the door of the cabin, and I just was trying to take it all in as much as I could, because it's like, when's the last time I got to visit heaven? When would be the next time I ever got to visit heaven? And it was a wonderful conversation with my Uncle Ralph. And then I woke up. So I told our parish secretary about the dream when I got up in the morning, and she said, oh my God, go to see your doctor. You just dreamed about dying and going to heaven. That's interesting, because I didn't think of it as dying and going to heaven. I just thought of it as, hey, I got to visit heaven. And I got to meet my Uncle Ralph, So I think maybe what Sister taught me was more or less spot on. So I didn't have, you know, my dog, but I had a dog, and I love dogs. And in order to be happy for eternity, I'd want to have a dog. And I didn't have the great big 5/6 manual theater organ of my dreams, but I had an organ, nice organ, lots of bells and whistles on it. And I needed that to be happy for all of eternity. And the more Uncle Ralph showed me around, the more I realized, wow, I could be happy here forever. So, what is heaven really going to be like? I've told this story before, but I think it bears repeating. And in fact, I use it at just put near every funeral mass I celebrate, in the hopes that it will be as much comfort to the family that is grieving as it has been in my life. My mother was dying, basically COPD. Her lungs were failing, and that caused her heart to fail. And as her heart got worse, her lungs got worse. She died by inches. It was a horrible thing. Our doctor, Dr. Srinivas, who's now happily enjoying his retirement, Dr. Srinivas said, the time's come, Ralph. We got to keep her as comfortable as possible. We'll take her off all of her medicines. We'll let her go home with you on hospice. And anyway, there's a lot of stories I could tell you about that. But the one morning I was having breakfast, she was across the hall in the rectory guest room. And the hospice nurse came into the kitchen. Ralph, could you help me with your mother? Well, of course, caregiver hat goes on. Nurse needs me. So I go, and what was going on? I don't know if you've ever seen a nurse or a caregiver change someone's bed while they were still in the bed, right? I can't make my bed when it's empty, right? Throw the cover over it and tell the cat to have a good day, and I go. Well, somehow it's like origami with sheets. They tuck and they fold and they untuck and they unfold. They roll the patient from one side to the other. And next thing you know, not only is the bed changed and made, but it has those real nice, crisp hospital corners. Just how do they do that? Well, what was happening? Mom had gotten so weak that she kept flopping over onto the side of the bed that the nurse was trying to work on. So when I got into the room, all the nurse said was, Ralph, could you hold your mother for me? So I got down on my knees, I lowered the bed rail, I scooped Mom up into my arms, and as weak as she was, she put her arms around me, and she hugged me, and she kissed me, and she said, I love you, Ralph. And from that moment on, if anybody asked me, what is heaven going to be like? I could tell you without a moment's hesitation, just like the good sister taught us, right? Mom would be there for me, right? And she would be able to put her arms around me again and hug me and kiss me and say, I love you, Ralph. No more tears, no more sadness, no more suffering, only love and peace and joy in each other's arms forever. And I always tell the family, so you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to know where Mom is now. You don't have to wait to know what heaven is going to be like. All you have to do is put your arms around the people you love. Hold them in your arms, hug them, kiss them. Say the three most important words that anybody could ever say to anybody. I love you. And in that moment of love, in that loving embrace, you make a little bit of heaven happen right here on earth. And you know where your loved ones are now. You know where all of us one day hope to be. And as we celebrate this month of November, dedicated to prayer for all of our loved ones who have died and gone before us, I can't think of anything that would make them happier. I can't think of anything that would give them more peace than to see all of us in each other's arms until that day comes when they can hold us in their own arms once again. So, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we'll be back next week with another episode of Father Ralph's Neighborhood. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it, especially given the fact that it might come out Sunday, it might come out Monday, it might come out Tuesday. Hopefully no later than Tuesday, but don't miss an episode. Subscribe. I don't get paid by anything. Although someone told me that they thought they saw my neighborhood interrupted by a commercial. Really? I don't know. Who knows what YouTube does when I'm not looking. But know that you are very precious to me. Pray that the angels will watch over you, protect you, and guard you, and guide you on your pilgrim way to the kingdom, where we will have everything we need to be happy for all eternity. May the Lord fill you with his most holy Spirit to give you much peace, much joy, and much love as we contemplate the return into the arms of our loved ones in heaven, and as we put our arms around the people we love here and now. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you